Okay, so week 7, leg locking. Let's see, hitting submissions now. So just going to look at a legal submission, the Achilles lock, from Front Ashi, which is the single leg X position, and we'll also look at finishing it from the outside Ashi. Slight differences in the finish. So 5 sort of things I want to be thinking about when I'm attacking a single leg X position. Yes, when I get into single leg X, my foot's already on the hip, and I'm making that wedge with my toes pointing towards the mat. So if Kane tries to disengage and butt scoot back, I'm connected to him, okay? From there, the second thing I want to be thinking about is turning his knee in the direction of my knees. So I'm going to use my free left hand to smear his knee. And thirdly, as I do that, I'm also getting a bend in his leg. I don't want to try and footlock someone with a straight leg, so I'm cinching back. Okay, so I've got a bend in his leg. There's different parts of your arm that you can use to finish, but I find from the front Ashi, the single leg X position, I like to use my wrist, okay, the sharp bit of my wrist underneath his Achilles. The other thing I'm thinking about is, I don't want cross section. I want my wrist perpendicular with his Achilles, not like that, because when he puts the boot on, which is his defense, and kicks his leg up, you end up halfway up his calf, cross sectional, and you fight to try and finish and you'll not get it. I want to be right on that tender spot on the Achilles. So when I get into my position and I get his knees smeared in the direction of my knees, I get a bend in that leg, sharp bit of the wrist is underneath the Achilles. Again, different ways of finishing. The grip I like is like a guillotine grip, and I'm also keeping my elbow clamped to my body, because sometimes Kane can sit up and underhook my arm. Sit up and weave your arm inside mine, and now he can use that, get elbow deep, and he can use that to stop me from getting from hand to hand. Whereas if I'm clamped like this, try to get it now, yeah, it's difficult. And now from here, the last thing, the fifth thing is, I want to make sure I put my head on the mat. So I'm looking over my right shoulder as I finish. Another common mistake is people trying to make the guillotine grip down at their belly button. I really want to be able to pull up to my chest. Now obviously in reality you're not going to get that far because it's going to be that tight, but we definitely do not want to be trying to finish in Achilles locks down around our belly button. We kind of want to be high, and then I put my face on the mat. Obviously Kane's defense, the weakness in doing it from single leg X, when I get the bend in the leg, he's going to try and straighten his leg by putting the boot on. He's just going to kick his leg out straight. That does 2 things. 1, it straightens his leg, and 2, it turns his knee back up so it's not in the direction that I want. Then he'll put his hand to push down my foot, not that one, other one. And when he comes over, we talked about the drill, I'm already finding that secondary leg, so when he comes over to the other side, I'm thinking about finishing the Achilles on the other leg. We want to develop that skill that I can switch from primary leg to secondary leg. Also, when I'm in this position, the real basic escape is removing this foot. Okay, so sometimes when he does this, it's a good transition to transition into the front Ashi position, because now from here I can put my secondary foot on my foot. So if Kane tries to remove it from here, this one's protecting this one, and even if he does push it all the way down, I still have connection. When we're finishing the Achilles lock, I need some kind of connection on his hip so I can push to put pressure on the Achilles. So the difference from the outside Ashi is, instead of finishing wrist on Achilles, I'm going to go bicep deep. So I want Kane's foot right in the crook of my arm. This also makes it very difficult for him to put the boot on. It's a lot easier to put the boot on when I've got my wrist, but then the Achilles lock isn't as tight. Okay, it's a lot tighter when I go on the wrist, but then there's more chance of putting the boot on. When I go deep with my elbow, the foot lock isn't just as tight, but it's very difficult now. Try to put the boot on, Kane. Okay, it's very difficult because of the connection I have with his foot so deep inside. So look at that again, 2 variations of that. So from my single leg X position, we always want to be driving off. When you sweep someone from single leg X, you're going to land in this position anyway. So one, my foot is on the hip with my toes pointing down. I have that wedge. Second thing is, I'm going to smear his knee, to get his knee pointing in the direction of my knees. I'm also looking for that bend in the leg. I don't want to try to finish the Achilles with a straight leg. When I get hand to hand, I'm pulling this up high, and then I'm going to put my face on the mat. If he does try to put the boot on, which because I've got a wrist kick out cane, because I've got the wrist and it's a shallow grip, there's more chance he can put the boot on. When he removes that foot, I'm already finding the secondary leg, and now I can smear and come on this side. One more option. Whether I land an outside Ashi, or maybe he's trying to remove that foot, I can come to the outside Ashi. So now 2 feet's pushing off the hip, whereas in single leg X I've only 1. This time I go bicep deep. Okay, so it's not as tight. Okay, but now if Keane tries to straighten his leg from here, it's very difficult. Same thing, I can drive off with both feet and put my face on the mat. So 2 legal submissions that we can actually do from our control positions.